Really glad, this is Brent Lear once again, really glad to catch up with the gentleman sitting right next to me here. He is the Chief Marketing Officer from a company called HubSpot, Mike Volpe. Mike, you guys have coined the phrase, you've made inbound marketing really popular. But let's talk about inbound marketing from a small business perspective. What does inbound marketing really mean to a small business person trying to make his mark building relationships with customers?
Yeah, so inbound marketing is really the ability to attract more people into your business, not using advertising and things like that people tend to block out. And it's really about creating content and using content and also context. So it's connecting with the right people at the right time, those two concepts together to attract more people into your business. And I actually think for small businesses, it's even more critical than larger ones because, as you know, small businesses, smaller budgets, less time, and making small changes in their lead generation and their sales can make a huge, huge impact.
So you hit on that whole context thing. I know I was at the HubSpot big inbound conference, and CEO Brian Halligan talked about context and its importance with content. Talk a little bit about, you heard the term content is king, but is it really now? Is context and content about the same today?
Yeah, I mean, I think content and context need to work together. I think, what we're all learning as we sort of explore this new digital world that we all live in is, how all these things need to play together. And I think that we're getting better at having personalized messages on email, and I think even to some degree on social, but why is your website homepage the same for every single person who's visiting it? Same for your customers, the same for people who are already in your sales pipeline. You should be able to display personalized content on your website and have personalized relationships there, just like you do on email and just like you do on social. So it's really figuring out what are the ways that you can bring all that stuff together to have those good contextually based conversations.
So when you guys first started out with the whole inbound marketing, that was really before Facebook took off, it was before Twitter took off, it was before the iPhone and the iPad, all this kind of stuff. So how has inbound marketing changed over the years with the entry of all these social networks and mobile tools in the cloud? How has it changed from when you guys got started with it?
Yeah, so I feel like the theory of inbound marketing hasn't changed at all, but the actual tactics that you use have, as you said. I think 06 and 07, kind of when HubSpot was getting going, a lot of inbound was really SEO and blogging, and that was when sort of we first connected, and you were starting to blog, and you were a big podcaster, and doing all those things. It's gone from that to Twitter and Facebook, and mobile's become more important over time as there's tons of proliferation of smartphones. All those things are sort of becoming more and more important. But I think that those are all tactics and channels, and that will continue to change over time. I think what's not going away is that consumers don't want to consume advertising. They want to consume content that's useful and interesting to them. And so that needs to be the cornerstone of your marketing, and that's why we talk so much about inbound.
Twitter, Facebook, a lot of companies, a lot of small business people know about that. But you guys really talk about, I'll talk about one of the older ones and then one of the newer ones, LinkedIn. Yeah. A lot of people kind of overlook the power of LinkedIn. Talk about the power of LinkedIn from what it could offer a small business.
Well, I think for small businesses, especially if you're a B2B small business, you're selling to other businesses, the data that we've looked at is that for the web traffic that you get from LinkedIn versus other social networks, if you're a B2B company, the conversion rate can be 3 or 4 times higher of that traffic converting into leads. And then their conversion rate into revenue as well is much higher. So, we found for B2B companies, LinkedIn can be a fantastic community. And I think that there's some great ways for small businesses to get involved in LinkedIn. So you've got, company pages, and LinkedIn just launched new functionality in company pages for you to actually do segmentation of your audience in company pages. There's Q&A, there's groups that you can form. So there's lots of ways to get involved there. And I think LinkedIn, especially if you're a B2B company, is not to be overlooked.
Pinterest, it's what everybody is talking about lately. How does Pinterest fit into how a small business could actually leverage it from a marketing and inbound marketing perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key to Pinterest is visual content because it's such a visually based medium. So a lot of consumer B2C companies have made really, really good use of Pinterest by posting pictures of cool and innovative and interesting products and being active within those communities. And so there's a lot of consumer retailers, things like that have done well, branded products that have done well on Pinterest. But even within B2B, we have a Pinterest account because we do all these things ourselves, and we've actually actually found that photos and images, pictures of like charts and graphs of data that are interesting to our audience have performed well, as well as actually images of the covers of like our ebooks, and then just linking out to where you can get the ebook, things like that have performed well for us. So I think a lot of times people say that these networks are only for a certain type of user or community. I think in many ways, if you have the time and capability, just doing more of this stuff is good, and it gives you more inbound marketing power.
So this guy is also the the co-host of HubSpot TV, or HubSpot Marketing TV?
Yeah, Marketing Update. Yeah.
Marketing Update. Video. How important is video to a small business? How can they best do it?
Yeah, so I think video is one of the things that it's both easy and hard. And I say video is easy to create. It's really hard to do well. When you do lots of podcasting, you do a bunch of video as well. And I think, and you have a huge background in radio, which I think helped you become good at doing those things. I think for many small businesses, video is not a place that I would necessarily start first. I think you can do it, it can be effective, but I would start at many of these other things before, blogging and creating content and probably ebooks and webinars and, all these other things before I really worked my way up to video.
Well, so we talked a lot about the inbound marketing, the content, the top of the funnel. Yeah. I know that you guys are really getting into that next level, middle of the funnel. Maybe you could talk, or you call it MoFu. Talk just a little bit about MoFu and where automation fits in and how that can help a small business go from the content, getting the lead, to working it all the way through till it becomes a customer.
Yeah, so I think what's interesting about the middle of the funnel, or sort of further down in that sales and marketing process, is that as you learn more about people, context becomes more important. So this brings back to the beginning part of the conversation. So as you learn more about them, you need to really respect that, and when you're communicating with them, show them that you still know a lot about them, right? It's sort of annoying when you've had interactions with a company and then someone else calls you and they don't remember or they don't recognize any of the things that they've already been talking to you about. So with the email communications that you're sending out, there's ways to automate that stuff, but make sure you're segmenting and personalizing those so that you're recognizing the context of the conversation. Same thing within social and the content of your website. Again, if someone's already talking with your sales rep and they maybe have a meeting set up for the next day, you should be showing something that's relevant to that type of a conversation on the homepage or other pages of your website. So I think the middle of the funnel is really about context. Yes, you can do a bunch of automation, whether it's automating emails or other workflows or the content that's appearing to them on your site. So automation can help there, but make sure you use the automation in a smart way to respect the context of what's happening within that portion of the conversation. So
let's look out let's say a year or two into the future.
Yeah.
Where are we going to be with inbound marketing, specifically at a small business level? How are they going to be using that year or two from now?
I think that we have 8,000 companies around the world that use HubSpot. There's more than that, using other types of free tools and other patching some things together, doing inbound marketing. I hope that more and more businesses are using it. I hope that the fundamental marketing playbook of every small business becomes doing inbound marketing. And I think we're still, you talk a lot about inbound as well, and you talk to tons of small businesses. I don't think we're there yet. There's still a ton of education to be done. And what I love about getting more businesses to do inbound marketing is it's good for the business because the results are better. It's also good for your end customers because inbound marketing is the kind of marketing that your end customers actually love, right? As opposed to the things that actually annoy them. And so really what I think fundamentally is I hope more and more companies start to create more marketing that people love.
All right, so we know that content is really important from a marketing, a branding, a promotional, but what about customer service? Retaining customers, not just looking for new ones, but how does inbound marketing or that content creation and that context, how does that help in terms of extending a relationship with a customer?
Well, I think we all know that companies derive a lot of value, ongoing value from their customers. More and more companies are moving to a subscription model where keeping customers for a long time becomes more and more important. So continuous marketing to your customer base is a really smart thing to do because it helps drive the top line and the bottom line. So one aspect of it is just continuing to understand that context of the relationship with the customers. But there's also a lot of content, like if you have a customer community or customer feedback, you can take that content and use it for marketing to your customers. You can also use it for marketing to your prospects. So salespeople can take, customer stories and things like that from your customer community and use that out, be using social for your marketing at the very top of the funnel and getting new prospects in, as well as communicating with people in the middle of the funnel. And, after that stage with your customers, and then using all the content from all those stages to help all those different people out. So, a lot of people know if you can get content from your customers in front of your prospects, they're more likely to convert because they're going to trust what your customers are saying more than your salespeople are saying, right? So those types of things I think can be really, really effective.
That's cool to see that because we're used to seeing integration with pieces like HubSpot with the front end, with the other players on the front side on marketing and promotion. So it's nice to see that that integration is starting to carry through over to the service side.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that there's lots of things there between people that have been your customers. Maybe they move to a new company and you want to continuously remarket to them so they'll become a customer again. There's upselling opportunities, and it's really one of those things where we talk about this notion of a funnel. I think more because there's not another great model out there to really understand the process, but it's really not something that ever ends. It's like you're just continuously doing it, and customers can be a prospect for a different product that you have or a different service, or for buying something else from you or something additional. So there's so many opportunities there. So I think that there's a lot of synergies between what's happening between customer support and marketing, because social is kind of what ties it all together.